As you know, the title of this presentation is Master Your Media for Predictable Growth. So today's experience is this presentation is really dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs and professionals to develop mastery skills, really to leverage the power of media to grow your brand, grow your business. And it's really about growing that predictably and systematically. So there's the art and there's the science. You know, there's creating cool stuff, and then there's running experiments and measuring those experiments. And that's really what predictable growth is all about. That's what mastery is all about. So before we jump into all of that, let's just unpack a few definitions. And the first one is, what is media, right? Media is kind of this amorphous term. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Some people think it's the news. Some people think it's video content. So let's just jump into that. So the dictionary says the main means of mass public communication, such as broadcasting, publishing, and the internet, regarded collectively. I would also extend that to your message. You know, when you walk into a room and somebody says, "What do you do?" That's media, right? Because what you're really doing is you are extending yourself into the world. And so that's hence the mass public communication. There's so many different ways of doing that. What is mastery? The Oxford definition says a comprehensive knowledge or skill in a particular subject matter. And what is predictable growth? Well, to predict something is to estimate that a specific thing will happen in the future, or it'll be a consequence of some specific action. And growth is the process of increasing in size, amount, value, or importance. So unpacking those definitions, really this training, we're going to cover how to develop the fundamental skills to creating media to develop a regenerative and profitable client relationships in a way that you can predict. And when I say regenerative, I mean financially regenerative, and also regenerative in the hearts and the minds of people that you serve. Because a brand isn't a logo, a brand is not a website, a brand is not your colors or your those are all elements of branding. But really, your brand is the gut feeling that somebody has about you and what you offer. When somebody says, "Hey, what does Dougie do?" They say, "Oh, well, he's the guy that does this." And people are talking about you when you're not in the room. And so that's really what a brand is. And so the process of branding and creating media is an extension of that, and engineering. What do people talk about, and how do people feel and think about you, right? So that's really what that's about. And this really the predictability speaks to a fundamental human need, which is certainty. We all need certainty, right? And we live in a very uncertain world. Life is uncertain in a lot of ways. There are no guarantees about the future. There are no guarantees in business. So what I'm not going to guarantee you that is, if you do this, you're going to make millions of dollars overnight. A lot of people do that online. And I'm kind of annoyed by it. And I don't think it's in service to anybody, quite frankly. But certainty is really, you know, your ability to understand that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. The earth will still be beneath our feet. You know, the things that you intend to do in the future are actually going to happen. So we need that as humans to be healthy, to be happy, to be fulfilled. So this training is relevant for you if you want to be seen as a leader in your community, professional network. You want to reduce the friction in your sales process of trying to convince people and instead have them be inspired to work with you. And you want to grow your business without sacrificing your soul and authenticity. You know, it's also relevant if you often feel overwhelmed by all of the technology and social media platforms out there. It seems like there's a new one every day. A lot of complicated technical stuff that I find and have witnessed and have experienced that a lot of people get quite overwhelmed by. It's also for you if you want to grow your business and you want to make sure that your message and your brand is authentic without using cringy marketing tactics. I can't tell you how many people that I've coached, consulted, worked directly with that are like, well, I don't want to do it this way, because they see a lot of people out there just doing really weird, cringy, hypey kind of stuff. And I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to do that. You know, you can be you. You can be authentically you. And when you are authentically you, that's what works. Because people know when you're trying to like do a cookie cutter version of something else that you've seen out there. And it's not to say that modeling is not good. Like you can model other people's behavior, but you really want to be you. And it's also for you if you've tried to create media and build sales funnels in the past and you've had moderate or poor results. So here's a simple truth. Online content works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so you can focus on other priorities in your business while your message is shared with the world. And it's not just online content, it's again, when you can engineer situations where your brand and the impression of who you are and what you offer is now in the hearts and minds of other people, that also works for you 24/7. I cannot tell you how many referrals I get, and you don't see me, like if you go online right now, you're not going to see a bunch of video content of my face plastered everywhere all over the place. So how did I do that? Well, I did it using the principles that we're going to talk about today. Also, a simple truth is that really well-crafted content can pre-qualify the right kinds of clients, which reduces the friction in your sales process and quite frankly, makes you more fulfilled because, who wants to work with people that they don't like or they don't want to work with? We've all had that experience, I'm sure. So this is like having an employee that does exactly what you want them to do consistently over and over and over again, but you don't have to pay them, you don't have to give them time off or pay for their benefits, and they don't show up late because, it's content, it's out there, it's happening all the time, it's on demand. The problem is that the marketplace is crowded with noise and terrible advice from people who overpromise and underdeliver. And that is how, in the early days, my business grew. I started off being a graphic designer and we noticed that people wanted websites. This is, I'm kind of dating myself a little bit here, but this is before content management systems. This is you're building like HTML websites and people started to want that stuff. And there were so many people that they hired their uncle or their cousin or somebody that just overpromised and they didn't really deliver. And there's just so much of that in this field. Every person who's ever hired an agency or a marketing consultant or a coach or whatever, I've found that a lot of people who do that often, usually there's at least one disappointment, if not many. It also seems like there's an unlimited stream of conflicting advice and different techniques. And so it's kind of hard for people to discern, well, what's right for me? What's my medium? How do I grow my business? So that's confusing too. And it's very easy to compare yourself to others who seem that they're having more success than you, especially with social media. There's this sort of curated my life is perfect kind of thing. And it's really not the reality. Anybody who's building a real business knows the trials and tribulations of uncertainty and balancing work-life balance and balancing marriage and kids and family members, and all while trying to keep your head straight and stay focused and build something of significance for you and your family and for the world and to make a real genuine impact. And so I just want to encourage all of you, that last point, it's so easy to compare yourself to others, and everybody, I've been in rooms of people that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and everybody at every level has imposter syndrome. Who am I to build this business? Am I good enough? And all of that relates to childhood stuff, quite frankly, and everybody has it. So mastery is not just about being great at something. It's about practice, right? It's about the fundamentals. And that's what really we're going to talk about today. We're not going to get into techniques for growing a TikTok platform. We're not going to get into techniques about, email marketing and, conversion rates and all that kind of stuff. We could go into that another time, but really I want to give you the foundational fundamentals that I've learned over 25 years in doing this kind of work. So this is one of my favorite books, just a little bit more on mastery. I highly recommend this book. It will, if you really take it seriously, it'll change your life. This guy named George Leonard, he's an Aikido master, and also just kind of relates the principles of martial arts to the modern world, to business, to building relationships and being a better human being. And this is one of my favorite experts. I love it. It gives me chills every time I read it, which is The people we know as masters don't devote themselves to their particular skill just to get better at it. The truth is they love to practice. And because of this, they do get better. And then to complete the circle, the better they get, the more they enjoy performing the basic moves over and over again. So mastery is not just about being great at something. You get great because of the love of the game. And the best example of that I can think of is Michael Jordan. Right? Michael Jordan is arguably and unanimously the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time, best basketball player, professional basketball player ever to be part of that. And if you ask all the greats, that's who they say it is. And the thing about Michael Jordan is that he had a love of the game. He practiced harder, he trained harder than anybody. Now, no doubt he had raw talent, he was ruthlessly competitive, but the reason why he got great and the reason why he's known as a master is because of his love of the game, practicing the basic moves over and over and over again. I cannot emphasize that point enough. So a little brief story about my life, my past, and where I am today. That's me, little 5-year-old JMO, little guy. And I grew up in Southern California, surfing, skateboarding, loved the outdoors, just blessed enough to grow up at the beach and be in the ocean. Still one of my favorite places. It's my happy place. It's my connection to nature, to spirit, to the divine. And so that was a really blessed life. But it also, my experience growing up presented a lot of difficulties and sometimes tragic experiences. I lost my mother when I was a baby, and I had a lot of alcoholism and addiction, not my own, but around me. My dad got remarried. They were alcoholics. There was a lot of fighting in my household. There was a lot of violence in my community. The Hells Angels were funneling drugs into my high school, and I had to fight a lot. And so I was always really empathetic, and I always could feel people's energy. And it was kind of overwhelming for me. It was kind of hard, because I was talented. I was good at sports, and, people liked me and stuff, but I also was really emotionally affected by all this stuff, and I didn't know where to put it, and I didn't know how to be. And I had a really challenging experience with all of that. And so through that, I've always been really curious about people and humans, like what makes us make the decisions that we do? Like, why do we do the things that we do? I've just always been fascinated by that. And so, I got into design because I'm naturally a talented visual artist. And design is really about empathy and like understanding who you're designing for and what matters to them and how they're going to use it. Product design and user interface design and graphic design, and brand design. All these things are really about thinking about who's going to experience this and what is their experience like. It's about empathy. And psychology is something that I've always been fascinated by too. Again, like what makes people make the decisions that they do. And I was going to go to college for psychology at some point, decided not to. And because of these skills and kind of where I came from, I naturally gravitated into the design and the marketing world. And as my career developed, I, ended up working with some really great people who taught me some incredible skills around copywriting and direct response and building a brand that is magnetic. And I worked for a lot of agencies. I ran my own agency for a long time and worked at kind of the highest levels of that world and kind of everything in between. And so, who I am today is I live an incredibly fulfilled life. I'm so grateful. You met my wife earlier. That's her in the picture there, and my little daughter. And that's my whole world right there. I do everything for them. And I've also been a brand advisor, growth advisor to big brands, and led growth strategy and increased valuations for a lot of companies that have resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars of acquisition. I've been a strategic advisor to Grammy Award-winning artists, CEOs, industry trade groups, entrepreneurs, and experts all over the world. And it's been an amazing experience, and I still do it to this day. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love helping budding entrepreneurs. And so I'm super grateful to be here today and share this with you. So enough about me. What do you think about me? So this is my company, Mandala Growth Partners. We help purpose-driven brands unleash the hidden power of their story. We have a production studio here in Ojai. That's my business partner, Adam. There's some brands that trust us. We've worked with a lot of really amazing companies in the world. All that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into the details. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Pull out your notepad, get ready to take notes. Please save your questions till the end, but feel free to interact in the chat or ask questions in there. That'll help us kind of stay engaged together. So there's a few prerequisites for predictable growth, right? If you want to predict the growth of your business in an uncertain world, right? It's a bold promise, but there are some mechanisms that you can apply in order to do that, okay? So in order to have predictable growth, there are three major prerequisites. Number one is you must know who your audience is and the problem that you help them solve, okay? I have worked with so many people who resist this, right? Especially like conscious people where it's like, well, it's not about problems, they're about challenges and opportunities for growth. It's like, whatever, okay? When people are in a problem state, they're looking to solve the problem state that they are in. And when they are looking for that, they are looking for you, the person who can solve that problem. And they also have to know that they have this problem. Many people try to solve a problem that people don't know they have, and that's why their marketing falls flat. This is why your message really matters. And this is why empathy really matters, because it's about listening to people and actually understanding what their life experience is like and the way that they describe the problems themselves, right? Prerequisite number two is you need a clear offer that solves the problem that they have, that they know they have, right? Lots of people have really great services and really great products, but they're just poorly positioned. They have crappy offers. They have offers that people kind of just, they're not clear on what's being offered there. And there's also a lot of really terrible stuff that's marketed really well. And so the goal is for you to create great stuff and to have really great offers. And so that's prerequisite number two. And if you don't have these prerequisites, like if you're still getting clear on your audience, it's totally okay. You're still in the right place. Dougie did a great presentation on, from logo to, to a brand or something like that. And it really digs into the nitty gritty of audience. I'm sure.
Logo to launch.
Logo to launch. Thank you. Yeah. And, yeah, so audience matters a lot, and so it doesn't just like snap. It takes a lot of work to get into that. So it's okay if you're not clear on that. It's okay if you don't have a great offer. I'm just saying if you want predictable growth and to really like lean into this promise, you need these things, right? So you need to know who your audience is the problem you solve. You need to have a clear offer. And you need a stack of offers that continue to provide more and more value. It's not enough to just have, you can build a six-figure business off a single offer, but that should be a high-end offer. But if you really want predictable growth, you need a stack of offers, right? So in summary, know your audience, the problem you solve, have a clear offer that solves that problem, and then have a stack of offers that continues to create more value, okay? That's the prerequisites for predictable growth. So here's what an offer stack looks like if you haven't seen one before. Some people call this a value ladder. But that's not a ladder. A ladder goes like this. This is this is stairs, right? So I just called it an offer stack. And you need free offers, entry point offers, high-end offers, regenerative offers, right? A regenerative offer is something where people continue to pay you over and over and over again, like a subscription or something like that, right? I always recommend if you're just starting out with this, like if you're brand new or you're reimagining your next life transition, start with a high-end offer. Right? Because that's what's going to sustain your business. And then you can kind of work your way down and then talk about memberships and stuff like that. That's a more advanced topic for another day. Anybody know who this is? Pop it in the chat, shout it out. Anybody know who this guy is? This is Jay Abraham. He's highly regarded as the highest paid, most valuable marketing consultant in the world. I call him one of my business dads because my dad wasn't great at business. And, he's got some really high level stuff. I've learned so much from this man. And one of the gifts that he offered to the marketing community is that there's only 3 ways to grow a business. You can attract more customers. You can increase your average transaction size. You can increase the frequency of the purchase, right? There's only 3 ways to do it, right? So almost all marketing, quote unquote, self-proclaimed experts will tell you that you need a sales funnel which may be true, but that's not the whole story. Here's why. Most people who teach techniques about building sales funnels, they only focus on one thing. They focus on getting customers and leads, which is needed. Almost all social media experts will tell you that you need to create more content. Just create more content, right? But that's also not the whole story. Here's why. Most people teaching social media or branding success, they only focus on one thing: getting more followers, right? Keyword getting. So let me ask you a question. How does it feel when someone tries to get you to do something? How's it feel? Right? We all know the experience of, a parent trying to get a toddler to do something, right? They can feel it. We all know the experience of going to a networking event and somebody's passing out their business cards and being the one in the room talking all about themselves, right? They're trying to get something. Or the douchey guy at the bar trying to pick up on a girl who's like obviously not interested, right? We all have these experiences of somebody trying to get you to do something. Okay, it doesn't feel very good. So there's a better way, and the better way is to give value and to be of service and to genuinely care about where people are coming from. And I just think that, sales funnels are great. Media is great. Getting followers and reach is great, but it's not the whole story. So I'm going to tell you what the whole story is. For starters, stop thinking in terms of sales funnels, okay? People are not marbles that you put into a funnel and then it comes out the other end and then you get money, right? They're people with hearts and minds and experiences and mortgages and kids, and they care about their life. And ultimately, it's not a funnel, okay? Start thinking in terms of a growth cycle, okay? In other words, stop doing this and start doing this. And that's not some hippy-dippy kumbaya kind of stuff. It's real, okay? And so here's what it looks like. Everything in our world works in cycles. The moon cycle, right? The planetary cycle, the biological cycle, the food cycle. There are millions of examples in our world of cycles, right? They repeat over and over and over again. There's a gestation period, right? And then it renews and it regenerates, right? The natural world does this in spades if you just look around you, right? And the truth is that relationships work exactly the same way, especially business relationships. So a growth cycle is a journey of all the touch points of your brand and how you create value at each phase for people on that journey. Okay, I'm going to say that again. A growth cycle is a journey of all the touch points of your brand, how you create value. Value is assigned by the listener, right? The person who's interacting with your brand, how you create value at each phase for people on that journey. And each phase is essential for predicting your business growth and sustaining a dynamic and regenerative, profitable client relationship. And again, a regenerative relationship, a regenerative, profitable client relationship, it's about regenerating money, and it's also about regenerating the relationship in the hearts and minds of those people who care about your brand and they want to recommend it to other people. Luckily for you, there's only 4 phases to remember. So we're not going to go into some complex marketing funnel right now. There's only 4 things, okay? So the phase 1 is discovery. This is about identifying and attracting ideal clients, right? This is where you see people trying to do this on social media everywhere. Make a first impression that turns strangers into acquaintances. The objective is to gain attention, attract, engage audience, and make quality connections. The goal with discovery is to inspire a connection, nothing else. Moving potential clients from awareness to a point of engaging further with the business, setting the foundation for a deeper relationship. It's about connection. Phase 2 is activation. Inspire prospects to take specific actions. Offer significant upfront value through exceeding client expectations, building trust, set the foundation for a long-term relationship. This, I can tell you, is the hardest part for most businesses because they don't have an effective entry point offer that provides upfront value that exceeds people's expectations. Most people are like, hi, nice to meet you. Let's get married, right? It's jumping ship too much. Or the other side is a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. Do you want to kind of, and they don't have an effective way to offer and it just kind of falls flat. It's usually one of the two of the others. Businesses that master the art of the entry point offer never have a problem getting new customers. Okay, so that's how you activate people, is give them significant value up front. The goal of activation is to inspire trust. That's why you give significant value up front. Successful activation experiences lead to a growing sense of trust, reinforcing belief in the business's reliability and integrity. Wow, that was so amazing and valuable. If you're providing that for that price or for free, imagine what it would be like to work with you on a deeper level, right? So you're setting the foundation, and that is the art of building a powerful brand, is value in advance. Phase 3, monetization. This is where the money's made. This is where you convert those relationships that you've invested in into revenue by offering core products that align with client needs, tailoring the sales approach based on the journey of what they're going through, and make it seamless and satisfying. The goal of monetization is to inspire belief, to deliver on your promises, right? To not overpromise and underdeliver, but inspire that you do what you say you're going to do. By consistently delivering outstanding products and services, the business nurtures strong conviction and the client solidifies belief in the partnership. We've all had the experience. I've recently had one with a big company where their process for getting my business was so aggressive. They wanted to offer the moon. The salesperson followed up with me over and over again, texting, calling, emailing, just really, really wanted to get the business. Okay. Once they got our business, freaking crickets. Their customer service is impossible. You have to wait on a call for an hour. It aggravates me to no end, right? And so the goal really is to inspire belief, and the way that you inspire belief is you deliver outstanding results. And then ultimately that leads to phase 4, which is regeneration, right? Create new engagement opportunities, reward client loyalty, special offers, membership programs, client advocacy initiatives to keep the relationship dynamic and mutually beneficial. I would just adding a personal touch, demonstrating that you care about the people that are paying you. The goal with regeneration is to inspire loyalty. Successful regeneration leads to clients becoming devoted advocates of the brand, which is characterized by deep commitment and active promotion of the business to their networks. In summary, discovery attracts potential clients with engaging content, marketing strategies, building early connections. Activation deepens engagement through valuable interactions, nurturing trust, creating value in advance, under-promising, over-delivering. Monetization converts these relationships into revenue, tailored high-profit offers. Regeneration maintains loyalty with exclusive benefits, deeper intimacy, spelled intimacy wrong, and value, which ensures long-term brand loyalty, right? Those are the steps. Only those 4. You only need to remember those 4. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is your brand promise. Right? What is your brand promise? That's really something to think about. What does your brand represent in the world? What is the promise that you represent and advocate? And really discover, right? People discover you, you discover them, you create a connection. That leads to the next step, right? Which is really to activate that relationship and inspire trust through delivering value in advance, right? Ultimately monetize and cultivate belief, instill belief, right? Delivering on your promises, delivering value. And then that leads to the regenerate stage, which is to cultivate loyalty, right? Creating more value, deeper stages of intimacy, thanking people, right? Offering a deeper personal connection. And of course, that leads to more discovery, because people who are loyal to your brand are going to share that with other people. They're going to share the experience with people that they love and trust. And there is no better marketing on the planet than a satisfied customer who's waving the flag of your brand. This is the way that I built my career without a bunch of crazy marketing stuff out there in the world. I get so many referrals. Okay, so what do you create? What type of content at each of these stages should you focus on? So with discovery stages like blog posts, videos, images on social media, local presentation, online presentations at other people's events, like I'm doing here, right? You discovered that I was going to be doing this and now you're here, right? Hopefully it's engaging for you. Gated content that captures contact information, tests, questions and sound bites at networking events, right? This isn't just about online content. This is about like understanding that when people want to learn about who you are and what you do, you want to test out things that you say to see if people engage with that, And so again, that is the media. It isn't just about creating content for online. It's about you and like where you show up and how you communicate. The activation stage is like webinars, free samples, trial offers, strategy sessions, discovery sessions, mini classes, master classes, local events that you produce, right? Not other people's events. It's a little more involved to create your own event. Right? A little easier to show up at this one. Mindshare created this for me to show up at. But if I were to deliver this presentation at my studio, which I probably will, right? That's a little more involved. You're in your house. You created the experience, right? That's a lot more activating, right? Software plugins. These are just examples. There's many more. Monetization. These are your core offers. This is where you make the money. This is upselling and downselling and cross-selling. Upselling is like, offering something of deeper value, more expensive. Downselling is, oh, that's too rich for your blood. Well, maybe you want this other thing, a lower end offer. That's why you need a stack of offers, right? Cross-selling, best example of that is on Amazon. When you go to check out, it says, hey, people who bought this also bought this, right? If you're selling a gardening shovel, well, maybe you want some gloves to go along with that gardening shovel, right? Stuff like that. Sales pages, video sales letters, bonuses, and I've spelled that one wrong too, incentives, immersive experiences, right? These are all examples of what to create at the monetization stage. And then regeneration is about testimonials from satisfied people who worked with you, creating loyalty programs to thank your loyal clients, right? Affiliate programs, joint ventures, memberships, subscriptions, mastermind groups, high touch, personalized outreach. Imagine sending a handwritten letter to somebody who does business with you to thank them. That would be rare in this day and age where everybody just wants to text, hey, thanks, right? It's not as meaningful as somebody who took the time to sit down and write a handwritten letter and send it to somebody. I've done it. Ask me how I know it works. Anybody know who this is? Shout it out, pop it in the chat. So this is legendary author, management consultant known for his breakthrough concepts on innovation and entrepreneurship. This is Peter Drucker, who said, you can't manage what you don't measure. So it's not enough to just create this content and put it out there. You got to measure what's working. This is the science part of it, right? So what do you measure? How do you know what's working? There's only 4 stages. There's only 4 things you need to measure. There's a lot of other little nuances when you have a mature business, like conversion rates and customer acquisition costs and all this kind of stuff. But really, in the discovery phase, it's about how many meaningful connections have you built. A meaningful connection on social media is not a follower. A meaningful connection is somebody who comments on every single one of your posts and sends you direct messages to follow up. A meaningful connection is somebody who gives you your email address and says, I really want to learn more about what you have to offer. A meaningful connection is you're at a networking event and you take a picture with somebody and you send a text to each other and you said, this was a really great connection. I hope to follow up again in the future, right? It's different than a follower, right? Activation, how many valuable experiences have you delivered to inspire trust, right? How many activation experiences have you delivered? Have you over-delivered, under-promised and over-delivered? How many of those have you done, right? This is what you're measuring. Monetization, how many real problems have you solved for these connections to instill belief, right? Again, an offer is about solving a problem that somebody knows that they have, right? And really delivering on that promise. So how many problems have you solved for these connections to instill belief that you do what you say you can do, right? And then regenerations, how many clients have you created deeper connections with to cultivate loyalty? And when you do that, those people will share about you and who you are and your brand, which will lead to more discovery, and the cycle continues, right? And really it's about measuring results weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. People get exhausted and overwhelmed at this idea. It's not that difficult. I've distilled it down to 4 metrics. There are other metrics in business, but these are the core ones. These are the main ones. So let's talk about making content now, right? Like, what do you make? I provided a bunch of examples, but what's the steps for making content? Okay. So I'm going to give you a basic overview of the Media Mastery Framework, and then I'm also going to give you a free in-depth document that kind of goes over it. So we don't have enough time today to go like into the depths of this. I'm just going to give you kind of a high-level overview, and then I have something free for you that you can grab today immediately. So the Media Mastery Framework is the professional process for content creation that creates results. Every business that creates content and does it really well, they go through these steps. So step one, develop a story worth telling. Tell a story that solves a real problem, inspires a new perspective, encourages a new action. There's so many ways that you can do this. There are so many platforms. There are so many mediums. You know, a story can be a blog post. It can be a video. It can be a post on Facebook. You know, it can be an inspiring quote. It can be a story from your life that you had a profound insight. Now, obviously, you want to link it to your business, but there are so many different ways of developing a story worth telling. Just pick one and do it. You know, pick your medium and go for it. The second step is about creating a production plan. You know, how are you going to deliver this story, right? What are the steps you're going to take? So you make a list of these action steps necessary to deliver your content that tells the story in a meaningful way, right? And you know, in the production world, in the video content production world, this is really about like your shot list. What are your locations? You know, who's your cast? Who's your crew? You know, what are the things that you need? What does your set design look like? But this can also be just like writing a blog post. This would be like, what are my key ideas? I have this concept in step one. I have this story that I want to tell. Step two would really be about like, okay, what's my content outline? What are the key points that I'm going to cover? And so you can see how this applies to generating really any kind of content. And then step three is just unleash your creative genius. Once you have that story in place, once you have a plan as to how you're going to deliver it, ultimately allow yourself to be prolific and just unload, right? Produce your content in the medium that you know best and you feel the most prolific and effective at delivering the story, right? You don't have to do everything. You know, again, a lot of these like professed experts will tell you, you need to be on all platforms doing all things. I fundamentally disagree with that. A lot of people in the marketing world will be mad at me about saying that, but it's just not true. It's really just frankly not true. Pick your medium and stick with that and give yourself permission to be prolific and create a lot of that, right? This medium I love. I'm really good at creating presentations because I'm a graphic designer and I know how to put this stuff together. And I have a few other mediums that I'm good at too, but I don't do all of them, you know? Step four, produce the final product. Right? Refine this into the final piece. Prepare your content in the final formats to be relevant for the places that you plan to distribute. This is about editing, right? If it's a video, you're going to edit the video, you're going to add sound, you're going to add music, you're going to add infographics, whatever. But it's also about, you know, taking that blog article you wrote and passing it to a trusted circle and saying, hey, do I have any misspellings? Like I did, you know, I had a couple of misspellings, right? I need to edit this presentation a little bit, right? And so, you know, it's really just about that. It's about finalizing it, but it's also about like, you know, thinking about where it's going to go and where you're going to distribute it, you know? And so if you've got really long form content, you know, do you want to chop it up into smaller pieces and put it on, you know, YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram and whatever, and then put the longer version on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube or whatever, you know what I mean? So you want to really think about the output of where it's going to go. And then step five is share it with your audience. Share your content with the desired audience and where they congregate and measure the results of that engagement, right? It's really just about when I say people, where do people congregate? Find targeted groups of people. It could be an online group, it could be a trade organization, it could be whatever, but you want to find where are the people that you serve and you want to deliver a relevant message to that place. And that's really it. It's not much, it's not a lot more complicated than that. You know, people overcomplicate this process of marketing, and it's really just that. Find the congregation points, know your audience, deliver the message in that place. So that's the Media Mastery Framework. It's just those 5 steps. So really, again, looking at this growth cycle, these are the places where you want to put that content: discovery content, activation content, monetization content, regenerative content, you know? And again, in that cycle, how many meaningful connections have you built? How many valuable experiences have you delivered to inspire trust? How many real problems have you solved for these connections? And how many clients have you created deeper connections with to cultivate loyalty so that they share with their community, and that creates more discovery, and on the cycle continues. So if you take action and measure results in this way, your business will grow consistently and predictably. I can almost guarantee it, because this is about the fundamentals of the way the human brain works and the way that we build trust and intimacy with each other. It's not about some tactic or gimmick. It's just about the way that humans work and the way that media works. So here's my gift to you. This is Media Mastery Decoded. We basically took this entire framework of the Media Mastery framework, and my business partner and I, in order to create this framework, we took about 3 years. Both of us have 25 plus years of experience. Mine is more in the brand building and strategic marketing and direct response marketing world. And he's a filmmaker, right? He's an animator, he's a producer. And so we took all these principles and we kind of packed it into this pretty rich playbook, right? So it's over 50 pages, it's step-by-step instructions. There's a gear list in there if you want to create video content. And it's based on our many years of experiences. And all you got to do is text playbook to that number below and it'll send it right to you automatically. So with that, let's open it up for questions.